Many business owners have questions regarding what records they have to keep and how to keep good records for operating their business, complying with the rules, etc. Hi, Bob Jennings here, trying to walk you through the quagmire of answering those questions for you. You know, a good record-keeping system is demanded far beyond what the IRS requires. Why? In 30 years of practice as a CPA, one of the overriding features that I have seen in every single profitable business, without exception, is they've got a wonderful record-keeping set of books behind them. Why? Because they need it not only for the IRS, but for management decisions, to determine whether to shut down a store or add a new store, raise prices, lower prices, competition, advertising. The number one feature that I have seen in all lines of businesses, thousands of businesses in 30 years, is a good record-keeping system. Conversely, the number one factor that I see in businesses that don't make it is they are a mess. They've got the world's worst record keeping. With that in mind, let's show you how to have a good record keeping system. We need it for IRS. We need it for management decisions. We need it just so that we can gauge where we're going to go and plan for the future. All right. Well, in order to make sure that we have a good record keeping system, we can really follow the IRS's rules. Number one, let's look at income. Now, when we're talking income, let's not use accounting terms. Let's just say deposits. You know, if you ever get audited, the IRS is going to assume that every deposit you make into your account is income, and you're going to pay tax on it. Well, that alone is an impetus to you to make sure that you code every single deposit in a checking account. So what we like to do as accountants is to make sure that every business is aware they have to prove their sales. Whether you have invoices, cash register tapes, receipt books, whatever, make sure that you've got those things, that they are summarized at the end of the day or the week, tied to the bank deposit, and then noted in your record-keeping system, whether it's manual or computerized, what the source of that deposit was. Why? You know, if you personally invest money in your business, you don't have to pay tax on that, but the IRS is going to assume that that's a sale unless you prove otherwise. So our number one issue, the most important issue is we have to have a mechanism to track sales. More on that later. Number two, of course, is the other side, not the deposits, but the outgoing side. We'll call it expenses, although that's not correctly a good term for accounting purposes. Let's just call it a check that's being written. When I am writing a check, whether it's for IRS or for management purposes, I need a couple of things to prove it. Number one, you've got to have a receipt for everything. Are there exceptions to that rule? Sure there are. You don't need to know them. It's a whole lot easier rule to remember. I need a receipt for everything. If I have a receipt for everything, you generally need a second proof in addition to that, and that might be images of your canceled checks from the bank or some other mechanism. Your accounting system will provide all of this information as we go through. Number three, and this is the killer, payroll. You know, if you're going to have employees, one of the things I suggest is you watch our short video clip on payroll and the issues involved. But when you've got payroll, you need records of everything. You need W-4s and W-2s and I-9s and job descriptions and time records and 941s and 940s. Are you scared? I hope so. One of the most important pieces of advice that I can give to a business owner is don't try to do your own payroll. 30 years of practice as a CPA has told me the penalties from one mistake are often more than what you're going to pay a payroll professional to take care of it. You got to have so many records. There are so many forms. I propose that you handle the record keeping for payroll with somebody else. Number five, we also need records for people who are not employees. This would be someone maybe that's remodeling your office building, putting in new carpet. These are non-employee records. W-9s, a record of payments, 1099s, et cetera, et cetera. So what you're starting to learn is I need a pretty involved record-keeping system, even for a small business, that keeps track of every deposit, every check, and the major categories that I'm spending that money in, possibly even by the individual vendors that I deal with. You are correct. That's what we need. Right? What else do we need? At the end of every year, if you're involved in selling inventory, the IRS requires that every business take an annual physical inventory. What that means is you are required by law to count your inventory and keep track of it so that at the end of the year, we know what the cost, the cost of the ending inventory is that you have on hand. I don't care what it's worth. What we need to do is count everything and determine its cost. You know, if you get audited and you don't have an inventory count sheet, you're in big trouble here. You've proven you're not complying with the rules. And finally, I need good records of what's owed to me at the end of the year. Those are called accounts receivable. Things that I sell to my customers who have not yet paid, those are accounts receivable. I also need a record at the end of every year of my accounts payable. These are things that I have gotten, goods or services that I have received that I have not yet paid for. All right, you know, I've told us everything that we need to keep. I haven't told us how to keep it. Well, it's pretty clear to me, 30 years of practice, I've learned one thing. You really need a good software to keep track of this. Now, I don't really care which one you use. There are a lot of them out there. If you're intimidated by the computer, let's start with Quicken or Microsoft Money. One step up from there, one I actually like a little more, would be maybe QuickBooks from Intuit. I don't really care as an accountant as long as you use one and you understand its use. For further information on record keeping for a business, please visit us at our website at the bottom of your screen, or feel free to give us a call at the number listed on your screen. Thanking you again for listening, I'm Bob Jennings, signing off.